Who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? If you've ever stood in a small dental office or a research lab staring at a cramped, slow sterilizer and wondering whether a bigger machine with a built-in printer would actually make a difference, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to walk through why the Tuttnauer 3870EAP large-capacity automatic autoclave with printer might be the answer or why it could be a waste of space and money. First off, let's talk about the real-world scenario most people face. In a busy dental practice, you might be pulling out trays every few minutes, trying to keep up with patient flow while still meeting strict infection control standards. The 3870EAP's large chamber lets you load a full set of instruments in one go, which cuts down the number of cycles you need to run each day. That translates into real time saved on the back-of-house side and a lower cumulative energy draw because you're not heating up a small chamber over and over again. On the flip side, the machine's footprint is roughly the size of a standard countertop oven, so if you're working out of a cramped treatment room, you'll need to carve out a dedicated spot. That's a hidden trade-off that many first-time buyers overlook until the box arrives. Now, the printer integration is where the 3870EAP tries to set itself apart from other autoclaves in this price range. Every cycle prints a detailed record cycle number, temperature profile, pressure hold, and even a barcode that you can scan into your practice management software. For clinics that need to stay audit-ready, that's a practical win because it eliminates the manual note-taking that can lead to errors. I've spoken to a few lab managers who said the printed logs saved them from a compliance scare during an inspection. The downside is the extra consumable cost. You'll need thermal paper rolls, and the printer's ink isn't exactly cheap. If you're a small office that never gets audited, you might find the printer more of a novelty than a necessity. What about reliability? Tuttnauer is a name you'll see on many sterilization units, and their service network is fairly robust in most regions. The 3870EAP uses a standard pressure sensor and temperature probe that are designed for easy replacement, which means you don't have to send the whole unit back if something fails. However, the machine's cycle times are a bit longer than some of the newer, more compact models that boast rapid heat technology. In practice, you'll be looking at a typical sterilization run of around 3,035 minutes for a full load. If your workflow depends on turning around instruments within 10 minutes, you'll feel that lag. Conversely, if you can schedule your sterilization in batches, say, after every patient or every hour, the longer cycle becomes less of a bottleneck and more of a predictable rhythm. Who should consider hitting the Add to Cart button? If you run a medium-sized dental office, a veterinary clinic, or a research lab that processes dozens of trays daily, the capacity advantage and printed cycle records are likely to justify the price tag. You'll also benefit if you have an established protocol for tracking sterilization data, because the built-in printer will slot right into that workflow. On the other hand, a solo practitioner who only needs to sterilize a handful of instruments per day, or a hobbyist who's setting up a small home lab, will probably find the size and cost excessive. In those cases, a smaller tabletop autoclave without the printer could do the job just fine, and you'll save both floor space and upfront expense. A few practical quirks popped up when I dug through the forums and product Q&A sections. The door latch, while sturdy, can be a bit stiff after the first few weeks of heavy use, so you may need to lubricate it periodically, something you don't have to think about with lighter weight units. Also, the water reservoir sits at the back of the machine, which is convenient for refilling but makes it harder to see the water level at a glance. Users have reported that forgetting to top it off leads to an automatic shutdown mid-cycle, which is frustrating if you're in the middle of a busy day. These aren't deal breakers, but they are the sort of small operational details that can affect your daily experience. To sum up, the Tuttnauer 3870EAP large-capacity automatic autoclave with printer is a solid, workhorse-type piece of equipment that shines when you need high throughput and detailed record-keeping. Its strengths lie in the spacious chamber, the integrated printing for compliance, and a service network that's familiar to many professionals. The trade-offs are the larger footprint, longer cycle times compared to rapid heat competitors, and the ongoing cost of printer consumables. If those trade-offs line up with the way you run your practice or lab, the investment makes sense. If they don't, you'd be better off scaling down. Either way, do the math based on how many cycles.